Welcome to another episode of my Stitch Diaries. Now I'm combining this video with episode 1 of the Doll Diaries, but going forward I'm going to have two different series going on, one called the Stitch Diaries and one called the Doll Diaries. And there's a few reasons why I've decided to do this. Now there are going to be a lot of doll related crafts in this video, but there are things I've knitted, I've sewn and things. But going forward I think I'm going to separate them and hope you understand. I'll just see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to just one series of videos. But what it is, do you know I changed my videos up from the sew diaries, stitch diaries, because of all the different sort of stitching that I do. Well, I'm doing a lot of things at the moment that don't even involve a stitch as well. So I think, yeah, it might be good just to separate it, because it's the things I've been doing are doll related. So one might be good for the doll people and the other one just for, you know, you might want to watch both sets of videos, who knows, but there might be ones that just want to go more for the sewing, knitting and crochet and things. So anyway, now I haven't got a list, which is my usual style of video, but I've surrounded myself with things I've made and things I want to chat about in the hope I don't forget about them. Now I've got my iPad here and I've got photographs that I've taken, so sometimes that can help jog my memory on what I've been getting up to, because sometimes I forget. Now in my last video, hang on, bear with me, I've got an extra heater on. I'm getting very warm. I'm just going to turn it off. Right, I've done that. I feel rather warm. I might have to stop and go and get out of this jumper in a moment. It was rather cold when I came in here and now it's getting warm. Now, in my last video, I showed you my daffodil monster that I made. And thank you so much for the lovely comments. And he's crocheted and it's a toff pattern by Kerry Lord. But you basically have to buy it as a kit. You can't buy it as just the pattern unless you can get one, like, you know, on eBay or something like that that somebody's selling on. But yes, this is mine. But I've now posted him on social media. Now I did something a little bit funny. Now I'd taken a photograph of some daffodils in my garden, so I can see it now. I'll pop a photograph on the screen for you to see. Now those daffodils in my garden. Now I took a photograph of my daffodil in front of a pop-up green screen. Right, it's my first time using one, so I'll show you that photograph, and then what I did, I put the two together, so I'll show you what I did. So yeah, that was quite good fun, but I've got a lot of learning to do with this green screen, but yeah, I thought that was lots of fun, so I hope you enjoy seeing that and how that came together. So I'll just pop him to the side. Now in my last video I was telling you about my Merida doll, and she's a Disney doll from the movie Brave that I rescued from a charity shop. I think it was back in 2015, and I brushed her hair, tied it up with a little bow, and I made her an outfit. I think I knitted the jumper. Yeah, I knitted her a jumper and I sewed her a skirt. Now I can't remember if I used a pattern or if I just made it up as I went along, because it was so many years ago. But here is Merida. Now Merida is, you know, she's very regal and things, and I thought, oh gosh, she just needs something a bit more luxurious than this outfit that I made for her. So I decided to knit her another outfit, but it didn't work out. Basically the outfit, you know, with the jumper was gorgeous, but it wasn't going to fit this doll, and I'll show you why I got so confused. So I've got this book, and my regular viewers have seen this book before, and it's called Knitted Dolls by Arnie and Carlos. Now, sorry about the shine from the lamp, I've got my craft lamp on to show a bit of light in it. Now in the very beginning of the book, I got quite excited when I bought this book, because they've got a basket of fashion dolls, like Barbie sized dolls in this basket. That's Arnie and Carlos here, and there's pictures of Barbies here. Now I thought, oh fab, these clothes in here are going to fit Barbies, but they don't, basically, right? So I'll show you what I've knitted a doll from here before, which I've shown you. Actually, I'll show you the doll. Now, there is something that's happened that's really funny. So but I'll tell you about that in a moment. Now, my regular viewers have seen my knitted doll before from this book. She's basically, she's naked, a naked body, but when I knitted her body, I knitted pants in, so you can't remove those pants. And I've knitted her extras like socks, skirt and a cardigan. And I've messed about with her face a few times, but I did the eyes a little bit different. You're meant to knit holes as you went and then add the knitted eyes after, but I just embroidered them on and things, but I've changed it here and there. Anyway, that is the doll I originally knitted from this book, and I thought, well, they don't, if you look at her and Merida, they do look like they might be able to fit. Maybe I'd have to shorten the sleeves, things like that. Anyway, so I knitted a jumper, and I'll show you which jumper I knitted. Now, I've spent a whole evening looking at this book, and I'll tell you why. Not last night, this was another evening. I knitted the Setterstell jumper, and this is it. Now, if you look at this jumper, the collar is long and it folds over. Now, I've done mine in different colours to this, but I wanted that long neck jumper. Now, to do this jumper, you have to follow the pattern chart, but it says you have to do the pattern on, it's the pattern on page 60, and the pattern's on page 60. But what it said, I wanted the long collar. When you get to the collar area, it says there's 3 alternatives. So I had a look how many rows, and the longest one was a 10-row one. So I did that one, and I cast off, but it wasn't as long as on that picture. So I thought, well, what's going on here? But I've had a look at all the other jumper patterns in here, and there is jumpers that have a 20-row one. So if you want a long one like on that page, you've got to knit a 20-row, not a 10-row. But I just went for the longest one, and I trusted it, and I cast off. Anyway, it looks okay, but it became very clear when I cast on this jumper, the jumper looked much bigger than this, the width, right, because you start at the bottom, much bigger than this. I thought, it's no way going to fit Merida. So I knitted up the jumper, and I showed you the jumper in my last video, and I was so pleased with this jumper anyway, even though it's not going to fit Merida. But I decided to knit another doll. Instead of just undressing this one, I'll make another doll to wear it. And you saw, basically, I'd knitted another pair of legs, or I'd knitted one leg, I can't remember, but I'd done them in purple. So the new doll will look like she's got purple tights. Or anyway, I finished her, right? Now, this was meant to be the Claire doll, because I'm Claire. The Claire doll, when I was having my hair dyed brown. But obviously, because I'm going back to, like, you know, my natural blonde, well, obviously, it won't be natural by the time my hairdresser's, you know, gone at it a few times. It will end up lighter than my own blonde, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm going for the blonde doll. Well, the doll, she doesn't look like me. Right, well, I'm not saying this one looks like me either, actually, but it's just a suggestion, isn't it? Well, she looks like she's, her name is Ingrid, and she's of Viking descent, right? She's a bit of a bruiser, right? So, look at her face. Oh gosh, she's really, really mad. Now, what I've realised, right, with this doll, now I've done the nose in this, like the nose in this book. Now, what I've realised is, because I knitted this doll so long ago, I couldn't remember what I've done. I've basically, for her nose, I've just took the yarn and basically just embroidered it a few little stitches, look. But this one has got the proper nose, right? So, big bulbous nose. I've embroidered the eyes like I did with the other one. Now, I did lips. I've done like a little cross for her lips. And with this one, I kind of just went over embroidering it. She looks very stern face. And I didn't want any bald patches on her hair. So she's got an absolute mop of hair, loads. That's what happens if you end up covering the whole head with hair. Now, I don't know if I'm going to leave her hair like this, but doesn't she? She looks lovely in her jumper, doesn't she? And I have folded the neck down. I could leave it up like this. That's how you're meant to leave it. But I kind of like it folded down. And I've knitted her a pair of shorts. as well. Now, I've got a photograph of what she was looking like before I dressed her. So I'll put a photograph on the screen. So that's how I knitted her. I knitted her with purple legs. Then I changed to a white colour. So I knitted a t-shirt. So she's not naked like my other doll. So that's what she looks like underneath. Like, I can show you that actually, lift it up without undressing her. So, but what was very evident when I was knitting this doll, the legs look a lot longer. Now, I basically did a tally with this, and I marked off every 10 stitches with a stitch marker. So I definitely did 70 rows on this, because it says you either knit 70 rows or you measure it. Now, it became very clear that these legs were looking longer. Yeah, her legs they're a bit longer than the other one. And I didn't think much of it at that point, because I thought, well, maybe I didn't count the rows on that one. Maybe I just thought they look all right and then finished there. Now, but then when I knitted the head and everything, it become clear. This doll looks a lot daintier. That's why I say this one's a bit of a bruiser. It's a bit like a Viking. Look how much bigger this one is. Now, I know I would have used the right size needles, but look at the head difference. I know that they've got a lot of hair. And I thought, what has gone on? Now, I think I know what I might have done. Right. Now, this book by Arnie and Carlos is called The Knit and Crochet Garden, and there is a doll in here very, very similar. Now, you know I've knitted things from this book before. That's the page with the embroidered eyes. But there's a pattern in here called Knit a Hippie. So I don't know if I started knitting from one book and then changed to another book, but I don't know if I've just knitted the hippie doll. I think what I might have done, right, I think I might have owned this book first. I think I've knitted the doll out of this book. Then I've ordered the doll book and then knitted the clothes. So it's amazing these clothes even fit her. That's what I think I've done. So I think she's probably, now I would be really interested now. I'd like to knit a hippie at some point out of this book to see, will the hippie come out this size? Because look, they're very different, aren't they? So, but it's been such a giggle. But then what I've ended up dissecting this knitted doll book. Bear with me, I'm just going to get a drink. Right, sorry about that. So what was I talking about? So yeah, I ended up looking at this book very closely. Now, on the page where I've done the Setter Stole sweater, now look at the doll next to it. That jumper looks a lot more slender. It looks very, very fitted. Hang on, can you see this? See, that jumper, the Setter Stole, looks quite oversized, doesn't it? That one looks a lot fitted. So I suspect that jumper might fit fashion dolls. So at some point, right, I don't know if I'll do it this early in the year. I'm getting all spring-like crafting in mind. So maybe I'll save that when it starts getting a bit more wintry, you know, autumn, winter and things. But yeah, I'll try not forget that. So yeah, but yeah, I was just a little bit confused because some of the jumpers that looked a bit bigger were saying they're the slimmer jumper and they didn't look like it. So yeah, so if you've got this book, be a bit careful, because if you go to the page it tells you to, you might not be knitting the right size sweater. So just double check things if you're going to knit them. So that's what I'll be doing when I knit from it again. Now, I don't think you'd have to worry. If you were making these knitted dolls, it wouldn't matter what jumper you knit, whether it's going to be oversized or fitted, it's going to fit your Arnie and Carlos knitted doll. But if you want to do them for fashion dolls, you've got to be very careful because some of them are just going to be way too big. But yeah, we'll see. I'll try and knit the slimmest jumpers and things, and I'll let you know, because there are some doll collectors and doll people that like knitting for their dolls like I do. So what else have I been up to? So I'll just pop those down there. Now I'll just have a look at my photographs. Right, now you might have seen this photograph on social media. Now, it's a photograph of Harry Potter and Ron Weasley sitting at a picnic table. Now, that picnic table is a picnic table I have made from Lollipop sticks. Now, I had seen one similar being made on YouTube, right? But I had to kind of go a bit freestyle because of the size of my Lollipop sticks, but they're quite chunky looking ones. But this is the bench that I've made. It's all just hot glued and things, and that's what it looks like on the side. I think the one I saw on YouTube, this bit was kind of going across the crossed area, but I didn't do that with mine because I just had to go a bit freestyle and just saw what worked with mine. But I'm really very pleased with it. Now, if you have a look at the what's underneath, it looks like grass. Well, that's actually just a printout of some grass. I think I got that from a blog, Froggy Stuff. I think I got that grass from. So anyway, so I'm going to have lots of fun. Now I've got the green screen because I've got a photograph of Hagrid's hut. I might even try, if I can prop it up, because I haven't got a stand for this thing, putting it behind me and seeing if I can put myself somewhere, put myself at Hogwarts or somewhere. That would be a lot of fun for me, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'll have to try it out. I'll do a little trial, and then maybe I'll do it in one of my future doll videos or my Stitch Diary videos. Right, now, looking at the next thing. Right, there is going to be some Lollipop furniture again, but now I'm going to something else I've been sewing, and there'll be more sewing with the Lollipop stick stuff as well. Right, now, I basically measured up a standard size Barbie doll. I measured all different ways, and I started drawing up some patterns for her. And basically, this was just her, there's no seam allowance or anything. This is what I ended up with after doing a standard Barbie size measurements. I did tinker around with it. I did the sleeve 3 times because I didn't feel like that bit was deep enough. Then I did one that was too big. So yeah, it took me 3 goes. It did take me quite a bit of time to draft this pattern for Barbie, but then I ended up doing one with a bit of seam allowance on it, and then I basically traced it and then I added seam allowance basically, and I've done some extra ones with extra bits coming out the side because I wanted to add Velcro to the garments. Now, what my plan is, now Barbie, right, I don't know how much you know about Barbie, the fashion doll. Barbie has, in modern day, her family has changed a little bit over the years, but in modern day, oh, something fell, sorry about that. It was this, my little doll-sized dress form. Right, basically, Barbie has got a surname. She's called Barbie Roberts. Now, Barbie's surname is the same as mine, so I didn't know this until fairly recently. And Barbie has got sisters. She's got Skipper, Stacey and Chelsea in that age order. And you can get like dolls, like you know, those dolls. And there's also Barbie's mum, I think it's Margaret, and her dad, George. So you can't get those dolls. So I wanted to try and recreate it. Now, Barbie's mum, she kind of wears, I'll see, I don't know if I've got a photograph here. Oh, I have. So I'll pop this photograph and see. She does wear like a bit of a shirt type thing. She wears like jeans or blue trousers. It's hard to tell really. And it's kind of like a purpley, peachy shirt. So I think overall you kind of, when you see her, the purple sticks out more than the peach, which I've got some purple check fabric, and I wanted to do something that was influenced by Margaret Roberts, right? But I wasn't going to do a button-up shirt with a collar. Now, I've seen somebody on YouTube, I'll just get this photograph of, somebody else has wanted to recreate Barbie's mum, and they've made a shirt like this. And so it's not a shirt either, it's like a blouse, and they've gone with the purple. So I've got some fabric that's purple, so I'm going to do the same. Now what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to make one for myself to keep, but if I've got it, I'll make some extra ones and I'll probably put them up for sale. So if other people say they've got, you know, they're a doll collector or they've got a child that wants Barbie's mum, I'll have a few extras so other people can recreate Barbie's mum. So at the moment, I haven't made the purple top. I've just made a peachy kind of one because this is just a tester. And last night I drafted up this pattern, and this was for some trousers for Barbie. And let me see if I've got some photographs here. Now, I've got a photograph here. What I did with these, I just pinned them to some denim and I drew the seam allowance on around with chalk and I cut them out. So I didn't add seam allowance to the paper patterns. I did it while it was on the fabric. But with these, I added it to the pattern pieces. So this is the fabric I've used just as a tester. Now, I bought a pack of these with all different colours. And I overlocked the edges. Oh, I'm knocking things over. I overlocked the edges and I washed and tumble dried all these fabrics so they wouldn't get any extra shrinkage. That actually took me half an hour. I actually timed myself. It took me half an hour to overlock all these fat quarters that I got in a pack. There was more than the 4 standard ones, and then I've put them through the wash. But I've made Barbie a top in this, but I will be making one in purple. It was just basically just a rough one. I did finish it nicely. I didn't just do it like a toile, but anyway, I'll bring Barbie out here. And here is Barbie. Right, so this is the top that I've made. That I'm really very, very pleased with this, because I have drafted this pattern and from her measurements, and then I've made the pattern. So I've done it from start to finish, and it's basically, it's velcroed at the back. That's what it looks like at the back. And these are her jeans. Now I haven't put any, sorry Merida, I'll move Merida out now. Now I haven't put any pockets or anything because I didn't even know if it was going to fit. You know, I had to trust my own measurements. And yeah, I'm really, really, and I've put this pink, like a little square here, and this pink threaded stripe down the side like this. And I think she looks adorable. Now, I think if I put the purple one on her, I think she would look like Barbie's mum. Now, I might put a pair of glasses on her to make her look a bit more aged, do you think? I think that would make her look, even though Barbie's mum doesn't wear glasses, I think she looks a bit too young and trendy looking to be a mother, doesn't she, I suppose? And now I've noticed that picture that I showed you where someone had done it, they'd kind of put things around her eyes to make her a little bit aged. Because basically Barbie is supposed to be a 17-year-old girl, and I don't know how old her mum is supposed to be, but if you see her on the cartoons, they've kind of like made her look a bit aged and things. But I think to myself, well, do I need to age this doll? Because my youngest son has actually turned 15 today. He's at school. He's turned 15 today. My eldest son is 18. He's going to be 19 in May. And my middle son is 17 at the moment. He won't be 18 until November. And I don't look extremely aged looking, I don't think. So I'm not going to age my Barbie to look like Barbie's mum. Because she might, you know, I know this Barbie looks younger than I do, but you know what I'm saying? We don't have to age a poor little face, do we? It doesn't seem right. No, I'm not doing that. So that is what has been going on. So basically, this has kind of spiralled out of control. Excuse me. I've actually lost a night's sleep over this because all these ideas are popping in my head. Because now there's other characters that you can't get the clothes for that I want to copy. I'm thinking I could make duplicates and I could actually sell them. And now it's gone full swing. I'm like thinking, I've become like a mini fashion designer. My head is bursting in ideas in Barbie fashion that I could recreate. So basically, watch this space. That's why I think I need this doll diaries starting, because I've got all these doll plans. It might end up being a doll clothes making business, basically. So, and I've always said I'm not a business, but I'm not saying it's going to be some big business. You know, I might, the rate of things being made will probably be rather slow. Do you know what I'm saying? So it will just be, you know, the odd piece here and there. I'll be able to move on. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Anyway, right, now there's some more Barbie fun. Right, now I wanted a Barbie that looked very similar to me. Now, you know, a darker eyed, fair head, and they're not all that easy to get, but I managed to find one. Now, this isn't the doll. Right, this was the doll's body, but I've swapped the heads, basically. So I love this little outfit. It's rather cute. She's like a bit of a farmer Barbie body, but this head was off a yoga Barbie, right? But what it is, the doll that I wanted to look a bit like myself, I wanted it to have more articulation, because I wanted it to hold knitting needles that I'd made. Now, I'll just show you this Barbie when she had her body. This was her knitting. I'll put a photograph on. This was her knitting, but obviously I didn't think, you know, this wasn't a great, wow. Do you know what, hair colour wise, it's not bad, is it, really? But obviously I'm working blonder, so and she's she blue-eyed? Oh no, she's got a kind of greeny kind of eyes. Anyway, but I wanted the blonder one, right, to be my doll, so I swapped their heads. Now I'm sure I've got a photograph of the head swap somewhere. I can't find it. I did take a photograph of one of the dolls when it was decapitated. Yeah, I've got it, right. So I can actually, in that photograph, I'll put it on the screen, you can see this doll's original body and what it looked like with no head, and that's the yoga outfit it had on. And I've basically swapped it with this doll. So this was supposed to be me. So if you look at the photograph, you can see a sewing machine on the right with a guitar hanging off it. So it's very amusing. There's chickens, you know, because I'm a chicken keeper. And there's cats and there's dogs. She's wearing a Gryffindor Harry Potter cape, which I haven't got one of those, but I'm a Harry Potter fan, aren't I? And if you look at her hands, she's knitting a Gryffindor scarf, right? So basically I knitted it and then I transferred it onto chopsticks and then I glued beads on the ends to look like knitting needles. Now, because I've swapped their bodies, she can now hold the knitting needles and sit down a little bit nicer, which I'm really very happy about. So I've had a lot of fun with this. Got her here. So this is the doll, and she's holding the knitting needles. You can see that yoga outfit still underneath. And the yoga dolls, none of them come with shoes. So I've had to put some random shoes on her that really don't match the look at all, do they? And she's even got, look, a pincushion on her wrist. So I'm just, now regarding the Harry Potter Gryffindor scarf, now I was a bit undecided on what to do because the scarves have changed. So I'll show you a photograph of the early movies. That's what the scarves look like. And I'll show you ones later on where they're looking a bit older. There's one of Hermione and Harry, and they changed them. But I went with the original ones when they first started Hogwarts. And actually the school ties are the same. The school ties were very block looking, but now see if I can find a photograph of the original ties. Well, anyway, you might think, what is Barbie sitting on? Right, so I'll just remove her from here. So these dolls, they've got really good articulation. Actually, the one that's going to be Barbie's mum, she's like a gymnastic one. She's got really good articulation. So basically, when I was a young girl, Barbie's arms were like this, and you could kind of do this with it. And you could kind of like, they were rubbery legs, and you could kind of bend them to fold them, and you could bend her at the hip. Well, this, okay, let me have a look at this one. She got articulate. No, she's not got as much articulation as the one that I've made to look like me. So, but this one, she's got joints at the knees and you can move the legs out a bit as well. And these you can bend them at the elbows, so you can just do more fun. fun poses with them, can't you? When you can do a little bit more with them. But this one, this is even less bendy than the one I had when I was a little girl. That you can't even bend the knee. This is just literally, you can do that with it, and forward and back, and turn the head, and that's about it. Wow, the yoga Barbies, they're quite good. Actually, I'll take her knitting needles off her, so you can ooh, I've lost a shoe. I might take those off anyway. They look a bit witchy looking, don't they, with the heels, but yeah, they don't really go. Well, these yoga ones, they bend on the foot as well, look. And they've got a bend on the body as well. You can kind of bend it there, so you can kind of look, yeah. If you do yoga, here we go. Look, she can do a bridge pose. Look, things like that. She can do a tree pose. Let's get her leg out. Look, you've seen me do this on some of my Instagram posts. Basically, what I'm saying is this doll has got absolutely fantastic articulation, right? And it just means I can have a little bit more fun with her. And look, you can even sit them cross-legged, look. Just the play, is a lot more fun, isn't it? Being able to do that with the dolls. So Merida's quite flexible, actually. The one I picked up from the charity shop. Well, anyway, right, back to what I've made. Now, I've made a lollipop chair. Now, these lollipops are a lot thinner. Now, if you want to make one of these, there's loads of these exactly the same on YouTube. Now, I think I've done mine a little bit wider than anything I've seen. But I actually made cushions. I did some measurements. And I managed to pick up some fabric fat quarters from Hobbycraft, and I've fussy cut it so Gryffindor's in the middle to give it a little seat pad, and then I've put the back one I've done a little bit bigger, but not really high, so it doesn't cover the back. I suppose I could have gone a bit higher. So yeah, I've made this little chair. So yeah, I've just had so much fun. And this is like going back to my childhood, because that's how I got into knitting, doing knitted vines, with the French knitting doll, and sewing was to make things for my dolls. So it's kind of like I've gone full circle and I've gone back to childhood, basically. But yeah, and it's just opened this massive rabbit hole, basically, of things that I can make, and just designing my own clothes and maybe even selling them. And obviously, I always say I'm not a business. I might actually be a business. Who knows, right? So, but very small business, right? So here are the fat quarters. And these are the pattern pieces I drew up based on the measurements. And I got some Ravenclaw fabric, 2 lots of Gryffindor. That's the one I've used for the cushions. That's the another one with stars on it. I was tempted to use that, actually. I really liked it. And these. Now, these are great because they've got all the houses on them. And I could actually cut them out and make little flags with them, couldn't I? And put them on sticks. And they could be like supporters, couldn't they, for when they're watching the Quidditch and things. So yeah, so I'm going to do some funny little displays for the Harry Potter dolls and the Barbies and things I've made. So that's why I think some of them aren't going to be sewn. Some of them are things like sticking together and paper and things. So that's why I'm going to have the doll diaries and the stitch diaries, but some of them will cross over a little bit anyway. So what else do I need to show you? Now I've finished the thing I've made for my auntie that died. It's actually, yeah, it's a bit of a crazy week actually. It's my auntie's funeral tomorrow, my youngest son's birthday today, and then we've got my husband's uncle's funeral the week after. So yeah, there's just a lot going on. Now my my eldest son, his girlfriend booked a surprise 2-week break up north somewhere. She said she didn't tell him where he was going, she just wanted him to drive them there. So they've had a little 2-week holiday, and you know, for an 18-year-olds, it's been very sophisticated kind of trip away, not partying. They were seeing historical things, and they've been in a cave, and they actually saw a very old rope maker, and someone said, oh, I need a volunteer, and my son volunteered, and because he volunteered, he got to keep the piece of rope that he made, and this is the rope. So I'm so proud of him. Now, I can't give you any much more information than I'm giving you now. I don't know what the machine was called, and I'm not sure where he was exactly, but he was in a cave, and he was told some funny stories that all the people there were inbred, they had no teeth and things. But yeah, he's found it very interesting, and yes, and that's what he made. So I'm going to give that him back. I am. So that's that. Now, in my last video, I told you that I'd had a Mandy Shaw delivery come through the post, and I didn't end up showing you. I've got that, and then I'll show you what my completed thing for my Auntie Linda for her funeral. Right, so this is the parcel. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know we're basically doing an embroidered patchwork quilt, and it's all basically sewing themed. There was one about knitting, but it's predominantly sewing themed, and basically we knit a letter. It's a bit like an alphabet thing, so we get the fabrics to make it, and then the iron-on transfers. Now, I haven't totally caught up with the other ones. I've got a few. This is where I keep it. I've got a few on the go. I was working on the queue for quilting over the weekend, so I've made a bit more progress on that. I've put the letter P back in my box because I realise I've missed a little bit there, so I've got to go back and do that. And I haven't done any of O at all, so those are in my box. So I'm going to complete the red work on those before I add these new ones to there. But this one, we're going to have the letter R, and I'll get the iron transfers out actually. Yeah, there's 3, so I've got lots to catch up on. A T for tape and thimble. So that's what we're going to, basically the T will be an applique letter, and the other bits I will be embroidering. So that's that one. There's R for rotary cutter, an S for scissors. Well, that can be all kinds of crafts, can't it? Not just sewing. It basically covers most crafts, doesn't it? The scissors one. I'll show you a finished one actually. That's what they look like when they're all finished. You make the backing bigger and you fold over the bindings. That's H for haberdashery. So basically, when you've done all that, you basically hand stitch them all together. But I've not started doing that yet. I know some people have hand stitched some of theirs together, but this is a thing we get monthly. So basically, I did get a sweetie in this, but I've already eaten it. It was a refresher bar. And the download we get this month is a sewing accessories pack. Now, I've already made some of these items before on this picture, but that's the download we get this time. So, right, so I'm going to pop that away. So that's exciting. I'm not going to read all through this newsletter. I've not read it through it myself yet, but I did eat the sweetie in it. So right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this video what I made for my Auntie Linda's funeral, which you've seen the start of. So I've got it, I managed to finish it yesterday because the funeral's tomorrow, and this is it. So I've crocheted, you've seen the crochet flowers, I've made a knitted vine on my knitting mill, which I've wrapped round. I've attached all the flowers and the vine with green floristry wire that I've wound off and cut and put through. I've hot glued a bow that I've made. I've made a triple layered bow here in the middle, and this is a sentiment I have wrote out on paper, well, on card, and I've wrote this sentiment. I've punched flowers out of it in the gaps. I've laminated it. I've cut it out with leaving a bit of a laminated gap. I've made holes, and then I've attached it with the floristry wire all the way around so it's stable. Look, it's like a drum. And I've done a bit, and I've just done that. And this is what I've wrote. Auntie Linda, God made a saint when he made you. From your niece Claire, Chris, Cameron, Declan and Jack. Now Chris, Cameron, Declan and Jack is my husband and our 3 sons. And obviously it was my auntie, so I've put your niece Claire and plus Chris, Cameron and Declan and Jack, because it wouldn't look right if put your niece and then the others, would it, I suppose. But what I've done is I've done all this in acrylic yarns and acrylic bow, and I've laminated this because I thought, well, if there's any rain or anything, it's like, obviously I suppose this would rot down, would it? So I don't know what the family would do with it. I don't know how it works actually. She's been cremated. I don't know what will be done with this exactly. I've been to a cremation before, and I know I've been in the cremation bit and you come back out and you look in at the flowers in the foyer, but beyond there I don't really know what happens. Do they put them down at their place of rest and then take them after? I don't really know, but whatever the my uncle or my cousin want to do, I'll leave it with them. But yeah, I hope they really like this, or I hope I haven't burdened them with something, because I suppose at least with flowers they do die. This is going to be living on with the acrylic for a long time, isn't it? So yeah, I don't know what will happen actually, but I'll leave it with them. Whatever they want to do with it, they can do something with it. Now, there is something I'm going to be doing on my Stitch Diaries that kind of ties in with the dolls. I've been feeling really inspired by Barbie's fashion. I'm actually going to try and make Barbie inspired clothes for myself, because I've really liked what I've seen. So they're kind of going to, I might have to include them in Doll Diaries and the Stitch Diaries. Things will kind of cross over a little bit. But anyway, thank you so much. I hope you've liked seeing what I've been making. And I will see you in my future videos. Bye.